Hello, this is Kirk Kumerow with yet another exciting Rebuild Illinois slide presentation. Today we're going to talk about procurement standards under Federal 2 CFR 200. The CFR means Code of Federal Regulations. Whether federally or state funded, almost a decade ago, the state of Illinois, through our elected representatives in the General Assembly and the governor at the time, made grant awards, financial assistance in general, issued by state agencies subject to the requirements contained in Federal 2 CFR 200, specifically for procurement standards. Procurement under 2 CFR 200 is outlined under 200.317 to .326. And they have general procurement standards, competition methods of procurement. The general procurement standards are you can use local procedures if they conform with federal law, maintain contractor oversight, maintain written standards of contract for all employees, use the most economical approach, and use intergovernmental or inter-entity agreement agencies to perform the work. We say agencies because in our regular CDBG program, that's who we usually deal with in regard to that. And then there's some exemptions for those types of agencies when procuring services from them. And we've never used federal excess surplus property, so we'll skip that. They also have engineering requirements, responsible contractors, maintain records. Competition. You need to have full, open, and competitive procurement process for any of the contracts you are proposing to fund with your Rebuild Illinois grant funds, whether those are professional services contracts for, say, architecture, engineering, or for construction contracts. And these are a list of 7 areas that the reg specifically outlines for those. Including there are no geographic preferences, which means when it comes to procurement, this is a federal law adopted by the state, overrides any of the previous Illinois statutes for hiring contractors, whether professional services or for construction, meaning you can't say, oh, we're sorry, Indiana contractor, you can't apply here. If they do, they have to follow the regulations under 2 CFR 200 and other Illinois rules, relating to employees and where they're hired, but you can't exclude contractors for that reason. And that's more important if you're in a border area of the state. The methods of procurement to be followed. Purchase or procurement by micro purchase, procurement by small purchase procedures, procurement by sealed bids, procurements by competitive proposals, and procurement by non-competitive proposals. Methods to be followed for micro purchases and small purchase procedures. The Federal Office of Management and Budget changed those dollar limits in June of 2018. So if you have been following these methods and used older thresholds for micro purchases or small purchase procedures, please use the updated ones. Procurement by micro purchase, if a contract is anticipated to be less than $10,000 or less than $2,000 for construction, you may use a micro purchase, which means you found a contractor, sign them up for that, when you have an executed Rebuild Illinois grant agreement in hand. If you go above those dollar amounts, you have to go through more competitive measures of procurement. The first of those is procurement by small purchase procedures. That's if the contract is anticipated to be $250,000 or less. And in that case, for small purchase procedures, you don't have to do bid advertisements and sealed bids. You could phone, email, or mail solicit 3 or more potential qualified bidders in that line of work, whether it's a professional service for architecture engineering, that's available. Under previous Illinois specific state regulations, they were encouraging other means that were more restrictive of hiring architects and engineers. We've been through this with our legal counsel multiple times when threatened with suit by the professional associations for engineers and architects, and our general counsels upheld them. We've actually had state's attorneys in counties with some of our regular SBG funds where the county was the grantee, and the state's attorneys have followed what our general counsel said when their board was threatened with suit. So if you are to be purchasing, engineering services or architectural services with Rebuild Illinois funds, you can use small purchase procedures, or we'll get down to other methods. And those are the general guidelines. I just went through most of them for how to do small purchase procedures. Procurement by sealed bids, which includes formal advertising. This is to be followed for almost all construction to be funded by Rebuild Illinois or any other grant funds that are going to be listed in your grant agreement, unless it's like some small little piece that's less than the micro purchase threshold, and there's a spot that has to be done that the general contractor wasn't anticipated, and it's less than the micro purchase threshold. You can do that. In general, however, we prefer a general contractor being bid, and awarded a contract, and then they can hire subcontractors under their own means that are less restrictive than the sealed bid method for the general contract. Jolene will go through more of labor standards and the construction procurement, the other elements of it that aren't under 2 CFR 200. But in general, that's what we like, is one general contractor, and they can have multiple subs as long as that general contractor was procured under 2 CFR 200. And the compliance can be verified by Jolene as labor standards officer, through her reviews of the paperwork you turn in, or by desk monitoring or on-site monitoring visits by your assigned Rebuild Illinois grant manager.